Hey, good morning, everybody. I am Sir Gooey Lawrence, joined by my sister, Cameron Mandy.
Hello.
Today, we are going to talk to you about stuff and things. We work for a publishing company called Gooey Cube, and we go through and reproduce things that you can go through and play with people in places.
What do you know? Imaginary places.
I could be in advertising. I think I nailed that like 100%.
You could be in advertising.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not. I'm just going to stick to shipping out orders.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, today we have a great show. We are going to have a Game Master chat about how to run investigations so it's fun for everyone at the table, including the GM and the players. Yep. So, because it's important for the GMs to enjoy themselves as well.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yes. But before we get to that, we are going to do some social media, but I also need you to vamp for time because I'm going to need to fix something really quickly. So
aside from that, just heads up, because of all the snow, we did get delayed. We have like 50 more orders of Darkenhaven that we are waiting to get from our printer. Unfortunately, there was something that happened recently and our printer got slammed, and we wanted to be super nice to our printer because he jumps through hoops for us all the time. And then with the snow and everything, we got delayed. So I am picking up our last batch of Darkenhaven on Monday. Those orders will go out. Also, super exciting thing. None of you guys know this, not even Cameron Mandy.
Oh.
So when we imported in the Tomb of Gyzengax orders, at one point we had 6,600 orders in our backend. Now, there's a couple of reasons why it ended up being that big, but we are now down to 175 orders to have a complete shipment, have the backend completely cleared out, and get ready for the next, shipping of 3,000 orders, which just haunts me at night trying to figure out how we're going to do that.
Oh, you're going to be just fine.
I'm absolutely going to be spectacular. Who's not going to be fine is Cameron Mandy when I keep on asking, like, hey, listen, I need this much money for more equipment.
Emotionally,
she's not prepared. She is not prepared.
We'll handle it. Okay. Anyway, let's do some quick social media. I just clapped very loudly into the microphone. I'm sorry if that hurt anyone's ears. But yeah, let's do some quick social media here.
Put you up on the circle thing.
Oh, but I'm running the stream.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I don't love when I have to cut to myself on the camera. So anyway, but Alphinius says the same thing. You're doing a very Alphinius thing. Okay. Anyway, Rick got his shirt from...
He got a zip up too, which was awesome.
Well, he won twice in the last game of Shenanigans. And who was a loser in the game of Shenanigans was Patrick.
Ouch, burn.
Well, so was I. I also lost. But Patrick did get also...
Oh, that's the thing that you guys did where y'all had stomach troubles afterwards.
Yeah, the Wheel of Shenanigans.
Oh, my... Dude, Patrick, you wrecked the leadership of the office in one fell swoop.
That was Adam.
Oh, is that Adam?
Adam's the one who mixed those potions.
Oh, man.
Adam wrecked, but he didn't have to actually drink any of them. So... Oh, my gosh. But yeah, so Patrick got the Darkenhaven shirt here as a consolation prize because he came down and was willing to do it.
Well done, sir.
And Rick actually won a prize. So, I think we'll be doing another Wheel of Shenanigans for the holidays. And so...
holiday Wheel of Shenanigans.
Will you like to come join us for this one?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
I might be shipping stuff.
You have to put yourself at risk or be willing to do...
First of all, I did... Okay, so Mandy recently had a party over at her house that was celebrating...
My student loans?
Right, and her birthday.
Yes.
It was a dual.
No, it was only for, at this age, I don't do birthday parties anymore. I just find other excuses.
What's really funny is, if you don't know, I have 3 sisters. Cameron Mandy's one of them. I have 2 others. Our youngest sister doesn't do birthdays either. Just like a birthday month.
Well, it's not so much anymore. Back in the day, she used to have a birthday month.
Look, she still did this year.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
But anyways, at this party, they decided to have like a hot sauce something challenge.
The hot ones. We did a hot ones challenge.
It's true. It was we ended up going up to 2.7 million Scoville, and I'm not. I admit, again, Green Beret, multiple deployments. I'm not a spicy dude. I do mild.
Oh, they're saying talk into the mic. You got to talk into the mic.
This is gonna be awkward. I'm just gonna have to.
Just
break this thing and hold it like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not a hot person whatsoever. Never have been. Our dad is. I have no shame. I also order fruity cocktails and I love them. The more fruit and the more colorful, the better. But I hung in it for the entire challenge, right up until the point where I puked. So it was a good time.
Yeah. And then you went fetal in the bathroom, I heard.
I didn't go fetal in the bathroom. How would anybody know? I was alone in the bathroom.
That's what you said.
No.
I heard from you.
No, you heard that wrong.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to question your,
But anyway, so don't give me this.
Constitution on live on stream.
Don't give me this whole like, oh, you have to put yourself at risk. Yeah, that used to be my job, fam.
Okay, well, fair enough. Okay.
But anyways, shirts and stuff, and these are available on the website.
And we'll be doing another Wheel of Shenanigans, which we hope you'll join us for, because we give away great prizes, and hopefully it's fun for everybody to watch us be tortured.
Absolutely.
So, okay. I just really liked this post from Alphinius.
I didn't even know that he was going to meet up with Geeky Hoodie.
I don't know that I think this might have been from Genghis, but maybe they are. I don't know, because I don't think I think he lives in Texas. I don't think he's in Boston.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right.
I liked the whole Geeky and the Trolls. Geeky and the Trolls. Like, I don't know. I just think it'd be really fun.
Oh my God. One of Alphinius's crazy talents that he has is the ability to make up songs and remember show tunes on the bit. And he would 100%, he'd sing so much of that song past the joke that it would just be a little bit cringe, but it is a very impressive talent.
Don't call him cringe. That's like the one word he hates to be called. Don't call Alphinius cringe.
Don't
guys.
sing Maya the Ugly Troll at my sister's wedding.
Well, that is true. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That did happen. So
I think twice. It's like, you know, it's
JC says that's called committing to the bit. So
he definitely he's a full send individual. I mean, he 100% is.
Alphinius, yes. Okay. Alphinius Goo, the character is for sure.
He also just knows a crazy amount of show tunes, which is weird.
Well,
but he doesn't go to shows.
He watches a lot of.
I guess he does. It's crazy.
Anyway, and he has a great memory. Okay.
Artwork for Gloomport is pouring in. It
looks beautiful. I cannot wait for you guys to see what they're doing for Gloomport.
I'm so stressed to get this done.
You're gonna get this.
We are, because again, we made it through Darkenhaven. Getting Gloomport done and then getting Gloomport shipped out is like Mandy's stress level for like, I don't know, like everything that actually matters in the company is somewhere around here. And then my thing just for Darkenhaven and Gloomport's like somewhere over like up here. Like,
oh, you're comparing my stress level to your stress level?
I'm saying that your stress level is over stuff that matters.
I will say my stress level has gone down significantly since Lawrence has come on.
I said it was stress over things that matter.
Yeah. And on top of that, we've hired like Yad and Devin and Lawrence in like the last year. So that has made my stress level much lower. So I'm in a good place emotionally. And I'm very excited for Gloomport.
The ship section in Gloomport is dope.
Uh-huh.
So I've been keeping an eye on it. Carrie's been developing that along with, I know Pam did a lot of work on that also. And you guys are actually, that's one of the things notes that you need to have is you need to advertise the ever loving out of that section because it's going to be awesome.
Well, I'm really looking forward to even just advertising Darkenhaven once I have some time.
If anybody could find time, that would be awesome.
Can we get like
it's an elusive creature.
Yeah, can we get a device that like pauses like time and then you can like do your work
like day job. So you can just focus on Gooey Cube.
So anyway, and this I believe is actually from Darkenhaven, right? Or is this also from Gloomport?
No, that's Gloomport.
Oh, is it the Drundoon house?
Oh no, that's for Guys and Gags.
Oh, it's Guys and Gags. Yeah,
no,
you're right.
That's artwork's pointed for that. Alphinius Goo is actually almost done with the adventure for the Tomb of Guys and Gags, which is exciting. Camera Mandy and I have been taking everything off his plate as possible, so that way he can just stay home and write. So it's been awesome. I think this is like the longest like uninterrupted writing spree that he's actually gotten.
Yeah.
And so that's almost done, and then we're doing a ton of work on the environs and especially with the contributors. Oh, by the way, Contributors Guild is open. You can go on the website, go fill out the form. If you haven't,
GooeyCube.com/guild.
Yes, GooeyCube.com/guild. Somebody please drop it over in the chat for us. We'd appreciate it. There you go. Chat that way. If you didn't catch it by any of the meetups, that is okay. On the new contributor form, there's a little button that says instructions. And if you click on that, guess what you get, Camera Mandy?
What?
Instructions.
No, not in this day and age.
I'm pretty new to this whole Gooey Cube thing, but like that was just like pro move right there.
Yeah, no. It is a pro move, and sorry for anything on our website that doesn't function the way that it should. Apologies. Okay. We're working on it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next up was this great print from Thomas Rowe, a Gooey Cube that was created by Loot Studios for their July 24th. I'm just like reading the text on the thing. It's a very cool cube. It looks awesome.
I wonder if
And
there's a light inside of it.
it looks like there is.
Mhm.
So, which I think would be really fun to put that down on a table.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for sure.
bam! You're now fighting a gelatinous cube.
It's glowing.
Yep.
It'd be dope.
Oh, wait, I shared this one. This is
Hey, dog.
Haven shirt. Yes.
Everybody cheer for the dog. It's good puppers.
Yeah. Okay, I liked what you did here. So this is Gooey Mel on $1 million bucks. Tell us about this.
Okay, so Camera Mandy went over like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. She went over and she put out a form and put in like special requests for all of our Dark and Haven contributors and stuff to go through and get the rewards fulfilled and everything and whatnot. Well, a couple of people, because I think she put like a special requests box or something in there.
Okay, that is so funny. I love that. So Michelle asked for $1 million.
Yeah, so Michelle asked for $1 million. There's actually 4 rewards that went out because they asked for some funny stuff. If you get one of those rewards, you should definitely post it up. It was kind of a last minute thing that we were able to go through and do, and so we tried to figure out some fun ways to fulfill these things.
So basically, if you're a contributing author for Darkenhaven or Gloomport, you're going to get some really cool stuff. And then Lawrence is going to put the extra effort in if you put something in the box that for the Gloomport one.
If you go on our website right now, I believe there's a customer requests or something like that in your order. If you put something in there, I'm going to try my darndest to do something special for you.
I love that you have the energy for that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love it.
I don't have a job, so it's nice.
This is your job.
Well, I don't have a real job.
Oh, okay.
Like you have a real job. Alphinius has a real job. My job is to just make people happy and send out stuff.
Must be fun. Okay. I love it.
But yeah, so essentially she asked for $1 million. So we figured out, hey, let's go through and by the way, for anybody who's like, oh, that's illegal. No, it's not, because there's a little note on there that says this is not legal Tinder, which is the thing that makes it legal.
Fair enough.
Yeah, United States of Gooey, $1 million.
Okay. This is a golf ball that Jen posted that I don't know who committed themselves to actually doing this, but they wrote 327 numbers.
Somebody who overdosed, well, not overdosed, somebody who took too much Adderall.
Okay. The fact that you could write that small, I'm like, I want to know if this golf ball is actually like the size of a golf ball, because how difficult would that be?
Option B, it's a high school student in class that's not paying attention to whatever class that's going on.
Okay, that's fair.
I can 100% see that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anyway, I thought that was fun. Christina posted this drink. It's called the Russian Witch, which actually sounded really good, and I kind of want to try this. So it's a creamy blend of vodka, coffee liqueur, and green creme de menthe. Okay, you guys know that I can't pronounce any of this.
You're an espresso martini girl, aren't you?
No.
No?
No.
I totally see you being an espresso martini girl.
Okay. I mean, I'll have one, but I don't order it.
Next convention, everybody get Camera Mandy a bunch of espresso martinis.
Dude, I will never sleep.
So many.
Okay. Anyway, I just thought it sounded good. I thought it looked amazing, and I'm all for trying new stuff.
We just like green cocktails around here.
That is true. Okay. Oops, I just closed out of my next one accidentally.
Nice.
What the heck? Okay, this is our snow.
Is that from Adam?
Well, I took that picture.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, this is the snow that we got in Colorado. So it snowed for 3 days straight. I've never seen it snow. This, by the way, is now buried. So this is our Madame Leota, Halloween decorations, completely buried in snow right now.
That's the actual person who's buried inside of Camera Mandy's yard.
It's
the last person who touched her studio.
No, that's Madame Leota from the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
That's a good cover story, Camera Mandy.
Okay, sounds good. Anyway, all that to say, our snow it snowed for 3 days straight. I've never seen it snow like this in Colorado. Normally it snows, and then by like the next day, it's like sunny again. We get like a crazy amount of sunshine every year.
So I had a training exercise out at Crested Butte where it snowed that much in a day.
I mean, I've seen that before.
Awesome.
I have seen it before where it's dumped this much snow at one time. I've just never seen it consistently snow. Yeah, like that's what I don't think I've ever seen. I think we've been here
2000.
Yeah, so 24 years, and I've never seen it snow like that before. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that was crazy, and it was.
Here's to a good ski season. Also, Casey, if you're in the thing, I'm going to come stay at your house and go skiing with you this year. Promise.
Nice. So what was fun though is that because we were snowed in, I did not prepare for the snow, so I didn't have any of my video work, which was
that was awesome.
No, it was deeply unfortunate on one end, but on the other side of it, I was like, well, what can I do from home? And so we've had in beta test Corey's Perils and Fortunes. We've been testing it over the last year.
Can you pull up your some of your stuff for it while I vamp for time?
Cameron
Mandy's actually doing it. So one of the things that I've definitely felt like our card games need is just a few more assets to be able to go through and really be able to help. Because I was even playing with the Gygaxes. We were playing, I forget what Alphinius calls it, but it's essentially Scum, if you guys have ever played that game. And there was even a few things with the deck that I just found a little bit confusing because I'm so used to a bicycle deck that I'm just not used to our deck and stuff. So I've always thought that there'd be like a pretty easy way to go through and do like some kind of almost like play mats or stuff like that to be able to help make it easy. And Cameron Mandy just randomly, when I dropped off my kid over at her house to enjoy the snow one of these days, she was just like, oh, hey, look what I've been working on. And we were like 100% in sync. And she went over and like showed some of the stuff that she had for Perils and Fortunes. And A, it looks beautiful. B, looks super functional, and super excited for you guys to get a hold of it. You're thinking those are going to end up being free digital downloads at first?
Yeah. So we're going to put out several scenarios that are free. And we'll just give people enjoy playing it, and maybe it'll become like an actual like product at some point. But for now, we're just going to start we're going
to play test it.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm just downloading the stuff really quickly. Keep talking.
They look beautiful and stuff. And then some of the things that we're going to look at possibly in the future, just depending on how playtesting goes, it's kind of like almost like the mouse pads or like the desk mats that you guys got. Like some of you guys saw those for like Tomb of Gygax, but essentially having like a play mat that has rules and stuff and just helps make it easier to be able to play these games and stuff like you're going through. It'd be really cool to do one. And I'm just vamping for time literally right now, so I'm just going to let stuff roll. It'd be cool to do one that had like a wooden kind of background to it, almost like it was like a tavern table. So that way, if you did end up doing like a Perils and Fortunes any game kind of scenario, which is what we kind of say is like the deck's really good for, you kind of roll it out. And it kind of looks like it's a tavern table and it has like, I don't know, like marks into it.
I don't know how to how am I going to show this? Is the question. Do I have I have a desktop thing.
Don't worry. There we go. Perfect.
So this is one of the mats. We also have this in like white, so that way it's easy to print. So this is the player's mat, and basically it's very easy to know what goes where. Like it'll just kind of show you where to put your cards, and there'll be several of these for each of the things you're doing with your card. And then I'm going to try and show the here over here. I'm trying to show the character sheet. The character sheet looks really good.
One of the questions in the chat, will there be a Gloomport placemat or a playmat? Yeah, we'll go through and we'll get one set up and get that taken care of for you guys, and then we'll get listed up on the website, just like Darkenhaven. That way you can have like the Darkenhaven desk mats, as well as like the Gloomports and stuff for use, which will be pretty cool.
Well, I don't know that I can get the other thing up that I wanted to show. Let me see.
That's all right.
But yeah, hopefully that little preview there gets you a little excited about some of the stuff that we're...
More card games.
Yeah, I know. I'm very excited for like the deck of Peerless Fortuity is one of the things that we have that not a lot of people like know about or like use, but it's like the most beautiful deck of cards I've ever seen before.
We actually sold a ton of them during Tomb of Gygax. We've sent out so many.
Oh, good. So all the people who got those during Tomb of Gygax will be able to... Wait, I'm able to pull up the sheet here. Hold on.
For a question about when is Gloomport coming, so we're in the final stages of writing for it, and then after that we enter into layout and then post-production for it.
All right, here we go.
If I had to look into Lawrence's crystal ball, we're looking at probably shipping in December, just barring any other major snowstorms and whatnot, which tends to always happen around the completion of a final project.
Of course.
Man, Cameron Mandy, what is this thing on the screen?
Oh, okay. This is just a rough cut. There's or rough draft of it. There's still a few things that we're fixing, but this is the character sheet for Perils and Fortunes. So basically, we simplified and put a lot of like iconography on there, so that way you're easily able to know what your powers are.
Hey, what's the text on the right called?
What do you mean?
What's the text on the right called? That's a specific kind of text.
Oh, the lorem ipsum?
Yeah.
It's just like filler text. It's just like if you're designing something and you don't have the text or don't want to put the text in for it, you just use lorem ipsum text. I know this is why you join us for Goo Morning Zyathé, is to learn all this interesting stuff.
I find that fascinating as far as like, I didn't know that in the writing, or I mean, that's a little bit more of like a layout thing, which is totally different from writing, which is also crazy. But yeah, it's kind of funny that there's an actual the filler text actually has a name called Laura Ipsum and stuff.
Yeah, Haunted Wolf, that's Joseph is in the chat. Joseph actually put together an Escar Goo scenario of Perils and Fortunes. And I actually was going to ask him like privately if he wanted to do like, I don't know, a strangely gooey holiday one for Christmas, Winter's Dance, holiday stuff. But, you know.
So instead of asking him
privately I'm just going to put him on blast out there. Yeah.
It's actually my favorite way to buy stuff.
What?
Oh, whenever I need something for Gooey Cube, I go through and wait till I'm going to host Goo Morning Zyathé, and then I buy it, and then I show it on stream. And I say, hey, Alphinius, can I have this thing that I already bought?
Oh,
and
the thing that, yeah.
And then I can't say no.
Yeah. Well, Joseph says, sure. So we'll chat about that later. So after the stream. But yes, there you have it. So Perils and Fortunes will be coming to you with a holiday themed, wonderful scenario that you can attempt with your Dex of Perilous Fortuity. So, okay. Next up, I think is our discussion time. I think it's time to do our gooey chat.
Let's do it.
So our GM chat and player chat. So our topic today is how to run investigations that are fun for both the GMs and the players. And we want your feedback in the chat as well. I'll be reading comments on stream. And yeah, I want to hear your advice. And my father will never watch this, so I will just throw him under the bus.
Throwing him hard.
So
poor guy.
I know. So where this is coming from is that he is running Shadows and Gensicon, which is a murder mystery, a really good murder mystery. But there is a lot of investigation there, and
available on sale now on the website.
I'm just actually like, you know, our bundle is actually still technically up for $99. So if you want all 3 Gensicons, the limited editions, it's only $99 still. So we haven't actually taken that down yet. So we're...
Yeah, Mandy doesn't advertise on the stream, but I do. So
anyway, all that to say, there's a lot of investigations, and he is a newer GM. And let's just say there's been a few games where it's just been a lot of like, you walk into a room, he reads the description of the room. We literally go to every single thing in the room, roll dice, nothing there, or something very small there that may or may not be significant, but it's taking a lot of time. And so I would like some tips for how to both help role play that. Like when you're in a scenario when you're a player and you're kind of stuck in this like cycle of just like rolling like constantly, like how do you add role play into it that makes it like fresh and fun? Mm-hmm. But then also on the GM side, how can you speed things up so that way it's not just like a slog to get the evidence that the players need. So
yeah, so and then I'm going to speak a lot from my personal opinion on this. Obviously, there's going to be a million ways to approach this, you know, and we never want to say what's a right way or a wrong way. But so I'm going to kind of talk from what my personal experience is, what my kind of tools that I use based off of like what my strengths are and stuff like that. And the biggest thing as a GM, you need to figure out where your strengths are, and then obviously play into those and stuff. From your players, it's going to be extremely important to figure out and really analyze what your GM's play style is, and then go from there.
So I have some comments already from the chat. So Paul says a hybrid approach is best, as there are some players who absolutely despise investigations and will check out and wait for the other players to do all the mental heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. Rick says, design lots of interesting and obscure clues, maybe even a clue table and rolls of it so that the locations can shift each time it is run, asking players open-ended questions that spark the player curiosity. Mm-hmm. So, and then Chelsea says, plus there's characters that simply wouldn't be interested in investigating certain spaces, even if the player themselves really wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the things that's going to be really important from a GM when you decide that you're going to run a murder mystery thing is you need to figure out what motivates your players. This is one of the things because that is going to allow you to understand, hey, how do I motivate my players to lead them where I want them to go? So you need to figure out like, hey, are they motivated by combat? Are they motivated by mystery? Are they motivated by role play? Are they motivated by rewards? What is it that they're doing? There's an earthquake going on right now, so please don't mind all the shaky cam.
I'm sorry.
Now looks tilted.
Oh, it was tilted before too. Hold on.
But figuring out what motivates your players is going to allow you to go through and customize out your campaign and your game to lead them through the mystery and stuff.
It's still tilted, but at least you're centered, and I'll figure out the rest of it later. So, sorry, keep going.
Luckily, you're an expert at editing, so.
Oh my God, that is so tilted. Oh well, I'm sorry. At least you're centered though. Okay, keep going.
So that's the first thing as a GM is you need to really learn and analyze, hey, what motivates my players? And sometimes players know what motivates them. You can really talk to your players and they have a good self-awareness. And then sometimes you got to kind of like, okay, let me try what really gets them engaged in what's going on and whatnot. So that's step number one is, hey, analyze your players, figure out what motivates them. So that way you know how you can go through and lead them through the scenario. My personal approach to GMing, I do not call for a skill check unless there is a significant chance of failure. So, Camera Mandy walks out of her studio. The door is closed. I don't make her, or I would not make her, like, if I was the god GM in charge of Mandy's real life, I wouldn't make her roll a skill check to open the door. There's not a significant chance that she is not going to be capable of opening up the door. Same thing with let's, hypothetically, driving to work on a normal day and whatnot. I'm not going to go through and have her, please roll a driving skill check to see if you get to work. Now today, when there's a ton of snow and ice out and stuff, that's where it's, there is a significant chance that there could be a failure of that skill. So that's where I'd go through and call for that skill check. What that means is that when you get into the actual investigation of stuff, if there's some papers that are on top of the desk, and your players are saying hey, I'm going to go through and I'm going to search the room. I'm going to move through and I'm going to be looking for, these different things. They've just said that they've searched it. It's in a decently obvious place. I don't need to have them roll a perception check in order to notice the papers that are on the desk. There's not a significant chance that they're actually going to miss those unless there's hey, there's combat outside. You're super stressed on what's going on. You're trying to do a quick scan. Now there's a significant chance. And what I feel like that does is help streamline up the investigation process. So that way you're not getting caught in all these different, roll to see if you do this, roll to see if you do that. It's just part of helping keep things moving and pushing through it and stuff. Do you have any thoughts, Cameron Mandy?
Yeah, I mean, I would also say don't do rolls on things that you really need your players to find out.
Absolutely.
Because that's another trap is so what happens if they roll low on,
and that's the one thing that they needed in order to go through and lead them to the next thing.
Yeah. So, and then so let's say you accidentally do that, then how do you recover from that going forward?
So again, former Army soldier and stuff, in intelligence, there's a rule of 3. You need 3 verifiable forms of intel before you say, hey, this is a plausible lead for us to go through. And I kind of take that and I apply it to my game space as well, where I say, okay, hey, let's say I need them to suspect the mayor is doing something bad. I need to put 3 different clues in there to help indicate that they are bad. And I can make one that's a really, really damning clue and that's really, really strong. And I can do 2 that are maybe a little bit more subtle. But the point of it is that there's redundancy in your campaign that, hey, maybe they do fail a roll on something like this, but they can go through and maybe find out that information another way.
Mm-hmm. So one of the issues that I think we've run into with Shadows and GenSicon is that first off, we're not playing as consistently as we need to be, especially for a murder mystery. And so when there are clues provided for suspects, even if you're writing them down, if you have huge gaps between times you're playing, it can be very difficult to recall next time you're playing who was top of your suspect list. Mm-hmm. And then second, and this is specifically in Shadows and GenSicon, which I think is a good thing, is that there are a lot of clues for many different people. So it could be anyone, but how do you start, first off, giving enough clues to indicate who actually is the bad guy? How much railroading, I guess, should you do versus how much do you want to build up the suspense?
So let me back up to your first point in there. We're talking about hey, we have, also you should put yourself up on screen. I know, it's horrible.
Well, now you're talking, so I don't need to be. So I mean, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
So backing up to the first thing, hey, we have a lot of space in between our game sessions. How do we go through and how do we approach that from, I can't remember stuff. So there's kind of 2 ways that I've experienced that work really well. And this is one thing that I love about Alphinius Goo, that I used to do for our games all the time, is that he would actually go through and he would write as an introduction to when we started to play a kind of summary in a very story-driven way, just like the way that he writes, of a quick sum up of what happened last session and stuff. That's a little bit more GM heavy. That's more work for the GM. If they like doing that, that's awesome. But that's something that I, as a player, always used to love. Now, as a DM, one of the things that you can definitely do at your table is offer your players a little reward. Offer them a Gooey reward if at the end of their session, prior to your next session, they write a 1-paragraph summary from their player's perspective of what happened last session. I used to do this with experience points, where you could go through and you could get certain amounts of experience points if you would do this. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It could be 2 to 5 sentences of what happened. But what was really cool for me as a GM is it gave me the player's perspective of what they learned in that session, which from a murder mystery is super important, because you may think like, oh yeah, I've dropped all these hints that are leading them to the person and they're definitely on it, but they might be taking it a completely different way and be completely moving in a different direction. But if a GM, if you have that insight that, hey, this is from the player's perspective, oh, they're thinking of that it's this person or this person, or this is the information it gets, it really helps you be able to understand where you maybe need to drop hints a little bit more heavily, or maybe where they're completely on the right track, and maybe you need to obfuscate things a little bit more to do it.
I do agree. And I think that there's something to be said too about remembering that something that is very obvious to you may not be very obvious to the player. So like Josh brought up in the chat, that he ran a Vlandian adventure at Genghis Khan, which me, Carrie, and Alexander and a few other people played in. And he ended up having to drop like 5 to 7 clues, so that way we could actually figure out where the. Fine.
I know, it's crazy.
I know, nobody cares. Okay, anyway, so he had to drop a bunch more clues than he was expecting for us to actually pick up on what he was going with. And so just remember that, like, when your players are at the table, I mean, this might not be for every person, but you know, you're kind of thinking about 5-10 different things at once. So it may be difficult if your clues are very subtle, or even if you feel like they're very obvious, it may not be very obvious to the people at the table. Like,
as a GM, you really have to put yourself in your players' shoes and understand that they don't get to see the whole picture. They get a tiny piece of it. And then also player actual like play style is going to matter a lot. When I play, I bring a lot of real world experience into my games and whatnot, just from my career. And so I play a very specific way. And if you want me to do something that's like really dumb, like sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, no, you have to go into the bad guy's trap because I have this really cool story thing where you get like some stuff revealed or whatnot. It's hard to get me to go into the trap because I see the trap. It's like very clear there. And I'm like, cool, we're not going into the trap. Like, that's not how and I'm a very stubborn player in that way. And so that's where, again, as a GM, you have to be able to say, okay, hey, what motivates my players? What helps drive them through the storyline? And then you have to put that stuff down to help get them to go where you want them to go. And then again, that really comes into like, hey, a great DM, in my opinion, has a very empathetic personality. They can understand what the feelings and what the motivations of their players are. And that's how they structure it out.
So, I have a bunch of cool chats I'll read, but I want to read this one first by Patrick.
Cool. You gotta play yourself up on the screen so that way they know that I don't have a woman's voice.
God. Okay. At least in murder mystery, I have the invisible wall approach. If it goes careening off the rail, I will have a MacGuffin shut down the line. So basically saying if they get like obsessed with like one storyline that is clearly not the right one to you, figure out a way to unambiguously, that was the term that Patrick used, shut it down so that way they don't continue on that line. Sometimes you just have to be very obvious.
NSREs are terrific for that. Hey, cool. I'm going to do an NSRE that is a direct, especially if it's like a combat NSRE, that's a direct threat to the players. If I do a little plant of a little bit of information, that's a quick way, because now the danger's there. Oh, holy crap. We just got attacked by someone. He had the mark of the thief syndicate on him. That means we need to go check out the thief syndicate because that's where the danger is coming from. So definitely utilizing your NSREs for that. Hey, let me reroute these guys around is a great way to do that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think that just being more obvious can really help. I mean, sometimes it's fun for your players to question, but if they're really going down the wrong road, don't have them waste sessions of their lives doing something that ultimately will not have an effect in the overall story.
So one thing that I think is kind of important, especially because like, so Alphinius Goo and his play style and stuff like that, he really likes like, so for instance, he's not like a huge fan of like insight rules. He's like, hey, like I'm here, I'm acting it out. What is your, what's your gut feeling? Like, what do you think, is going? And one of the things, or what's your feeling on it? Your personal feeling as a player is your insight as to, is this guy lying to you? Is he not? Like, what's going on? One of the things that's difficult about that approach, I feel like, though, is that everything that the GM does is a lie. You're playing a make-believe game. It's all imaginary. So it's very much where like your normal human sense is everything this person tells me isn't true because we're playing an imaginary game. So it's very difficult if you want to ride that line of that riding or counting on the player's intuition, because the player's intuition is you making all this stuff up because that's what's actually happening.
Yeah. So here's another good comment from Rick regarding how to do investigation rolls or survival. So for instance, if a player wants to check for footprints, I don't have them roll investigation or survival. But if they want to identify unique characteristics of them or a distinct set of them in a heavily traveled area, then I ask them to roll.
That's a great way to do it, where again, hey, yes, there's obvious things. Yep, there's papers on the table, there's footprints over there. There's a weird cloak over in the corner. Okay, now I'm going to go through and I want to use this. You've noticed these things. Now I'm going to use these skill checks to see how much information or extra information you pull away from that stuff. And then that gives players an interesting way to utilize their actual skills, because they could say, hey, you know what? Like, I have a really high history, skill check. And my backstory is I used to work for a cobbler, and I know that Valandians have a very specific shoe print because the leather available for the Quindoof in that area is very specific. Can I go through and can I roll to see if maybe I can go through and, based off my history, see if these maybe boot marks or something like that maybe match that style or something like that? It's a great way for them to be able to say, okay, hey, other than just using the kind of broad ones, the investigation, the perception, stuff like that, how do I get more into the nitty gritty of utilizing both backgrounds and then also their skill checks that are maybe a little bit more obscure?
So on that note, though, I do want to, and I think Strax Lives kind of encapsulate this a little bit too in his comment. From doing a ton of crime scene investigations, given enough time, you can usually find what you need so long as you are paying attention and are systematic and not jumping to conclusions. When the new folks get in a rush, they miss stuff. Now, one thing that I think is important as a GM is to also give your players a little bit of grace here, because when you're me and I'm a video editor and creative director at an advertising agency, I don't always know the correct questions to ask. I think it is nice when you, as a GM, say, like, ask probing questions to help us think through like what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. So if you have like a specific thing that you want us to find, but we're not asking the right questions, rephrasing stuff more towards the direction might help, like a player like myself who does not have experience, I don't have special forces experience. I don't have any of that kind of stuff. So sometimes it's just like, you just don't know the right question to ask as a player. And then it gets frustrating because it's like, I'm trying to find this thing. And that's why I think people do get more generic with their roles, because they just don't know what to ask. And so if you have a specific idea, I guess, in mind as a GM of what you want them to ask, just kind of lead them there versus expecting them to necessarily think about it.
And that's something that there's a little bit of teaching your players that almost need. So let's say that you have the room. It is they've come up. Your players have come up with the plan. They've infiltrated the mayor's mansion. The mayor's always guilty, by the way. It doesn't matter what town you go to. The mayor's guilty, 100%. It's one of the reasons why I don't think Darkenhaven has a mayor, because they're just like, listen, they're guilty. It doesn't matter who they are.
Isn't Jillian the mayor?
I mean,
and Escor Goo and Alphinius are running for mayoral
incumbents.
Offices. Okay, well, keep going. I don't want to derail us too much because this is a good conversation.
So they're in the room. Well, if I know that, like, hey, listen, I'm playing with Cameron Mandy, I'm GMing for her. I know a little bit of what her skill set is or what her background is and stuff like that. I might go through and try and, in the previous rooms of the mansion or prior in the thing, try and get her queued up on like how to ask questions or like what ties into her background, stuff like that. So like if she is like a Valandian, or maybe she's from Darkenhaven or East Fredestian or something like that. And I know that I want to have this really cool connection for her story arc. I might go through and in previous rooms or in previous sections go through and really try and like help cue her in onto knowledge that her or her character would know ahead of time. So that way, when she gets to the room that has the MacGuffin, the key, the absolutely damning evidence to finally put this scumbag away, she knows what questions to go through and ask and what could tie into what her background story is and stuff like that. But again, one of the things that I do think is super important, hey, if it's vital to your storyline, you got to figure out a way to give it to your players and have it be a not missed thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that takes away from the rest of the game or anything like that, especially because you go through and you build it out. Maybe it is something where it's like, hey, you worked your way through all these other stuff and you finally get into the place where the villain thinks that their secret evidence is safe. And so they don't have a lot of protections and wards and stuff like that here kind of thing.
That's a good idea. I think like I was thinking about what you were saying there too. I think it's also important to talk about ahead of time what kind of game you want to run. Mm-hmm. So generally I play in like lower stress types of games that are like lower stakes. A lot of people want to play in higher level, like not just level characters, but like higher level thinking type games. And so if I could definitely see, I think Chelsea said that her players are lucky, or she's lucky if her players remember their class AC and hit points, So I think it is, before you set out on like doing a very like strategic game, is getting a feel for how your players want to play the game. So I generally play after work when I'm tired, and it's more of a social thing for all of us to get together and play. So I don't necessarily want to have to make a bunch of decisions that are like really high level or stressful. But I know that is definitely not the case for a great number of D&D games.
And like something that I kind of want to actually go through, and I'm going to push Camera Mandy on, because Camera Mandy actually loves escape rooms, and she has a bajillion escape rooms in a box. However, her mentality when she approaches an escape room is going to be different from a D&D game. And you're not going to have a good reaction if you don't be like, I've always thought it'd be amazing if you had a campaign that basically it's like, hey, you come up to a room and then the GM goes through and brings out like an escape room in a box. It's like, all right, here you go, escape the room or whatever. And they have to go through and go.
I did that. Remember my witches game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had like created a whole scenario with like lots of props and stuff like that. And it was D&D light. I like basically did a very like pared down.
That's right. I do remember that. I helped you playtest that.
Yeah. So I did a very pared down character sheet. That was because
I also can't see you. You could just leave yourself up on screen.
I know, but I'm like reading comments. It looks weird, Anyway,
reacting to what I'm saying,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. It's conversation.
All that to say, I was bringing in a lot of people who'd never played D&D before, so I did like a super pared down character sheet. So there was some mechanics from D&D, but mostly it was like working with like real life props and puzzle solving and stuff like that. And Carrie played it, and I will say Carrie said it was the best game of D&D she's ever played before.
And big thing that, first of all, big applause for Cameron.
Oh, thank you.
But big aspects for that is that she prepared her players for the kind of thinking that they were going to need for the type of strategy. She didn't expect people to walk in and go through, or it wasn't like a blind side where it's like, oh, you're going to play D&D. Now here's a completely different thing. And I think that's something that Cameron Mandy would enjoy if at the start of the campaign, or if there was that kind of out of game discussion where it's like, hey guys, at some point you need to really approach this like an escape room mentality. That would go through and flip Mandy's switch into escape room mode and be able to go through and do that kind of analytical thinking for that puzzle. Again, if that's something that your players would enjoy, but that's where it comes to framing your players and preparing them to be successful in the room. Again, you're not playing against your players. It's your job to go through and create a great game for your players.
So on that note, though, like there are some times as game masters where like that witches game took weeks and months of preparation. And obviously when you're running like a Gooey Cube game or any kind of just regular TTRPG game, that's like a long-standing game, sometimes you just need to whip out the module and run a game. And so this is like where like you have the stats all out, you have the information. And the question is, how on that scenario do you keep things interesting and fresh when maybe you haven't had a chance to like prep like quite the way that you would for other things?
Don't beat a dead horse when it comes down to the investigation stuff and whatnot. Again, let your players, you got to keep things moving through the investigation, stuff like that. Hey, if there is a super important clue in this room, go through and create a plan for, okay, hey, primary plan is they go over and they search the desk, and the rogue specifically says, hey, I want to search the desk for secret doors. Okay, cool. They go through, they do that, they find the secret doors. So that's the first thing that they're going to go through and do. That's my first plan for you finding the clue. Next plan for finding the clue is the wizard goes through and is going to do an analyzation of, detect magic items stuff thing. Well, it turns out that the lock that undoes it actually has a little magical, location, something on it to help the villain. Okay, cool. That's my second plan for helping them find the clue. All right, hey, what's the third plan? Hey, the barbarian's going through and he's kind of frustrated and wants to get this, wants to get on to the next fight. Goes over, bumps into the desk, and you guys hear something rattle inside of the desk that doesn't sound like papers or pens or anything like that. I've now created 3 ways for them to find the super important clue. That's all within the realm, and I just keep things moving, and I don't say, hey guys, you guys search the room. Nope, you guys don't find it. Nope, you don't find anything there. Nope, you don't find anything there. Nope, you don't find anything there. Nope, you don't. That is beating a dead horse, and it just ends up getting...
It's yes. Sorry, Dad. Love you. Listen, at the end of the day, first off, if a room is not going to, again, this depends on what kind of campaign you're running. But if you're running a campaign where, it's not, you don't necessarily want it to stretch for a year. If you want it to stretch for a few weeks, like Shadows and Gensicon, you want to run like it in like 3 or 4 sessions. Any room that is not going to have an important clue, have them go in, read the description, and then make it very obvious very quickly that they're not going to find something in that room. Because there is nothing more frustrating as a player than spending 20 minutes of your life searching a room to find nothing. And I know that's kind of metagaming and stuff like that, but it is the dead horse thing of just
if you enter into the freaking chamber pot room and the players are super paranoid, so they're like, oh, hey, like we search every single room. Okay, cool. Hey, this looks like it's, the chamber pot room. I searched the chamber pot room. Don't call for a roll. You have just created doubt in the player's mind where if they go through and they roll low on the chamber pot room, now they're like, oh, I definitely missed something. That's why I didn't find it. Now let's spend a ton of time searching this room that has nothing inside of it. Don't get me wrong. Doing that once or twice is like, okay and whatnot.
Yeah, because you don't want to keep them on their toes, but like just remember that your game time is super valuable.
Yes.
And if it's just a long string of no's, and you feel like you're not getting anywhere, like that is just incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You guys go over, you open up, you see a chamber pot room. You guys go through, you guys don't see anything significant of note. Everything seems normal. There's nothing that stands out to you in this room. Would you guys like to continue? Do you guys have any other specific questions about this? Again, I'm the really dumb guy.
You find nothing of interest. That's what Joseph and Andy are saying. Just say you find nothing of interest and move them on.
And then just understand that as a DM, there's a trust thing here. You cannot go through and use you found nothing of interest and then be like, oh, well, you guys were supposed to push a little bit harder and you would have found out that Filthy Floyd was in the bathroom. Oh
my God, that would piss me off. I'm going to use the P word. That would, because then, yeah.
It breaks trust. It's the same reason why you have to be super careful with having NPCs betray the party, because you get like one of those as a GM and then the party will never trust another NPC.
Oh, yeah. And I think also there's something to be said about okay, so part of the reason why people feel like they have to investigate every little thing in every single room is because you feel like if you don't push, if you're still in a room, if the GM is still keeping you in that room and he's not pushing you or she's not pushing you to leave the room, it feels like there should be something there that you're just not finding. Yeah. And so you're rolling and you're like, well, what about this minute thing? What about the rug? Is there a loose board under the rug? And you spend way too much time looking into each individual thing. And I don't know. I do think it is a bit of a time waster it doesn't really contribute to the overall fun. I don't think anyone finds it necessarily fun. So,
and that's where, as players and as GMs, something that you kind of have to work out. And this is where there's a dual communication here that kind of has to happen is what is our level of, hey, we searched that room to 100% fidelity and we're sure that there wasn't anything in there. So if Mandy's, playing with me and her party and everything are their level of investigation is they walk in hey, we go over, we look inside the room. Do we see anything of interest? And that's the sole thing that they ask in every single room. I know as a GM, in order to help provide a great game for them, it's like, okay, cool. So they're asking me, do they say anything of interest? I'm not going to make them ask super specific questions, but say, hey, you know what? You see a really interesting desk over there. Again, if I know that Camera Mandy is just an absolute loot, dragon, and I'm going to be like, hey, you know what? She needs to go search that desk. Hey, you know what? There's a really ornate, fine looking desk over there that's got some sweet mahogany trim on it. And I'm going to use that motivation to guide her over there to go through and do investigation.
That's a really good idea. Yeah. Like use the things that, like if people really like shiny things or, like things that would particularly catch a character's eye. Mm-hmm. That's a really good tip. Also, like Jen put it very succinctly, biggest rule, everyone, DM and players, should be having fun. Yep. So if you find yourself, if you find yourself in a loop where your players look like they're not enjoying the investigation side of these things, which I think the reason why is it just gets very like, what do they call it? Autopilot-y. It's like you just get on autopilot and there's not much engagement. So you just have to find the ways. And I really like the tip that you just gave of like find character quirks that really catch a certain character's eye and focus in on that. So that way you draw that player back into the story, and then Andy just joined us and we did mention this at the beginning, but I think it's worth repeating. Do not lock anything of significance behind a skill check. So, yeah.
The other thing, so one of the skills that I ended up learning while I was inside the service and stuff is what's called sensitive site exploitation. And so I have to have a conversation with my DMs when we go over and play. When I say, hey, like I'm going to go through and I'm going to search this room. What level of detail do you want me to go into the description of how I'm searching this room? Because I can go full into, hey, I run my hand along the floorboards. I'm looking for these specific things. I'm going on over and I'm moving over into this corner, and I can get into the super finite detail of like crime scene investigation of all that. Does anybody want to sit here and listen to me describe that for 25 minutes? Or do we just want to have an agreement that, hey, I say I go over and check the room and you understand that means that I'm doing my full thing here.
Yeah.
Having that understanding between players and GMs and stuff like that helps, again, build trust. It allows the GM to go over and lead people where they want to go. And again, it helps keep things moving. That, hey, if you have a bunch of, Green Berets on a table and that's what we want to do, we want to get super, like if you get me and another military guy at a D&D campaign, welcome to Operation. We're just going to blow everything up. Because we get into like the game that we have with Riley, I ended up publishing out an entire operations order for it as far as like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what our communications skills are. This is what our primary plan is. This is our secondary route in. This is our third route in. This is what happens if you don't receive communicate. Like I get into that because that's what's fun for me when everybody else is enjoying it.
I would enjoy you doing that. So that would be fun for me.
Yeah.
Also, like Belinda says, for me, low description means low interest in room. High description means probably something there. So kind of cues like that could potentially be
don't
helpful.
Do the thing where you're like, oh yeah, you see a bedroom. Players are like, oh yeah, cool, it's a bedroom. Let's go through and move on. Like, and if they're supposed to find something in there, excuse me, you got to add in a little extra something.
Yeah. Okay. So building suspense, I think can be really good with experienced GMs. Mm-hmm. I think that when you're a newer GM and you're just trying stuff out, keeping it simpler actually builds more suspense than like kind of creating too much of a complex scenario that you're not able to keep grasp on. I do think it's something that comes with a bit more practice. And so doing very elaborate storylines. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people I think that this naturally suits for, like that they can naturally just do this. But especially for like a longer campaign, just as it is, I think with a longer campaign, it can be difficult to keep suspense up. So
we all know if you're a GM and you need some time, just say, hey, there's a door, there's 3 doorknobs, and your players will spend an hour and a half trying to figure out why there's 3 doorknobs on a door.
Yeah.
You do not need to make it super, that this happens and this is the backstab that happened. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, people will naturally, there's like a whole thing with escape rooms where like you've done more escape rooms than I have. I think.
Here's the thing is that it's interesting because there's different kinds of escape rooms. And yes. I think that the one that when it started, it's become less popular, which is like you would go into a room and you would completely tear the room apart.
Yeah.
And that's how you'd find clues. Now, when you do escape rooms, they don't let you do that anymore. For the most part, I think that the because you have to obviously pay for broken things or things get like really destroyed, and it's just expensive to do that kind of room. So now it's like if things are nailed, this is what I find interesting. Okay, this is where me and Adam always get hung up in escape rooms, and I will tie it back into D&D.
We got Mandy on a rant, everybody. I'm so proud of you.
No. Okay, listen. So
how do you put you up on the main screen?
This is I don't. Okay, so okay, escape rooms. And I will tie this back in. This is where me and Adam get hung up on escape rooms, is that now we're like overly cautious of like taking things off walls because we don't want to break anything. So before you'd come in, you'd break everything, and or you'd take it all off, you'd like flip chairs over, blah, 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 blah. Now they have these specific rules. If we put a red dot on this, you don't touch it, which then makes you feel like you can't touch anything. And I think the same mentality happens in D&D. And again, it comes down to that trust thing of like, when you go down a certain path with the GM and it ends like in a frustrating way, then you don't feel like going down those paths anymore, or you try to shortcut it, so that way you don't have the same result again. So I do think that the trust thing that you brought up between GMs and players is a very significant and important part of this investigation thing.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of trusting that if you go into a room and they say there's nothing, you don't find anything of interest, that means that you can move on, and not that you're missing something significant and have to go back and retrace your steps. Because I will say that would upset me too, is if you had to go back into rooms over again that I've already searched and I just missed like the one clue. So, and that would not be fun for me.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's a good way to, and everything's about fun.
Absolutely. What else have we got in the chat? I think we got a few more.
Yeah, I've I don't know, because I've been talking. This is what happens when I talk, is the chat gets away from me. Jen says, trust no one. Oh, Agatha all the way. I had just finished Agatha all along. I knew Jen was going to have watched it because me and Jen are on like the same TV cycles. So anyway, that's funny. That kind of stuff is why I like Meow Wolf location so much. Lots of secrets to figure out. So
Meow Wolf does a great job at, gosh, have you been to the Meow Wolf up in Denver?
We have a membership. So
yes,
yes, we do. We obviously love Meow Wolf. I totally love Meow Wolf. I agree, but it's more like, to me, that is super fun in real life because you're actually there, present in a physical room, searching through all the stuff. There is something to be said about the fact that when you're playing at a table, even if you're playing with like terrain and stuff like that, it's still not like a real world scenario. So sometimes it's,
you know what really helps out with that?
What?
Full color handouts created by actual artists.
That is true.
Available in all Gooey Cube modules.
Anyway, oh my God, we went past our time. It's 11:04.
Yeah, like chat. Like, time is an illusion for Goo Morning Zyathé. Like, it always is like, oh my gosh, we went 4 hours over. Oh no, like.
Anyway, well, I didn't expect this chat to go as long as it did.
Oh, yeah, it was, and the car ride over here is really funny because camera Mandy was like, do we need to have like another topic? I'm like, dude, we're not even gonna get like halfway through this one. Like, trust me, there's much. To summarize, I like to go through, and anytime they have a GM chat, I like to go through and summarize up. Like, hey, what are the major points? What are the major takeaways and stuff like that? Hey, first thing, analyze what motivates your players. Use those motivations to drive them towards the clues in the murder mystery. Do not lock important clues behind a skill check. If you do, go through and have again, this isn't locking behind a skill check, but have multiple plans for, hey, how can the wizard, the rogue, the barbarian, how could they all possibly find this same clue through different ways and stuff, and through different motivations that go through and do them. Build trust between GMs and players. Don't go through and have them hammer down on investigation and whatnot, and then help establish like, hey, when I go in and I search the room, what does searching the room look like? And then again, watch a little bit of CSI, see how they go through and do it. And then you can help go through and do that. And then guess what? If Mandy's background character is, oh, she's a spy from, the land of, Blun or whatever. No, Blun. She's from Blun. I can go through and say, hey, Mandy, based off of your spy training, you know that you got to go through and do this stuff in order to unlock stuff. And then now she knows that. And so next time that she goes to go unlock each chest or door or whatever, she's like, my spy training that the GM told me I had makes me do this.
Okay, so those are all great tips for the GMs. What about tips for players to help GMs? Because it's really not fair that it all lies on the GM. So I would say stay engaged. Do not like go on autopilot. Just try and stay in it, even if the GM isn't running it the way that maybe you would most like. Try and find ways to also like show the GM what would be fun for you, in the situation.
Help the GM understand how you interpret the clues that they give them. Again, some ways that you can do that. You can do what I used to do for my old groups. Hey, at the end of the session, if you write 2 to 5 sentences as like a journal entry type thing from your character's perspective, I'll give you a Gooey reward at the start of next thing. Now the GM has that information to go through and be able to know like, oh, okay, this is what they're hearkening on. This is what they're motivated towards. I need to redirect them, or nope, they're going the right way. I can rock and roll from there. So help the GM understand how you are interpreting. And sometimes, again, nothing wrong with mid-session just saying, hey, based off of these clues, this is what I think we're the direction that we need to go. Do you need to redirect me? Like,
oh, that's a good idea too, is like kind of recapping with the game master so they know what you have found important. And maybe that isn't exactly what they had in mind. Yep. So, but if they don't know, if we don't talk about it, then they think that they're directing you in a certain way and you're going in a totally different direction.
From a GM to a player too, I straight up in the last game that I played with Riley, which was an alien RPG game, I put out, because I used to be a Special Forces communication sergeant, so like no comms plans. Hey, how do we go through and verify if we lose crypto? Like all of that's in my training. And I go through and I set out that plan right off the bat. And right after I go through and Riley reads the op order that I put out for the table, he texts me going, hey, heads up, your communications are compromised. Just play into it. He knew that I had already solved the puzzle before we got into it. But in order to make it fun for everybody else, he was just like, hey, heads up, this is a thing. Go through and play into it. And then I was like, oh, okay, no problem. I don't want to ruin that for anybody else at the table, so we can play into that and do it. There's nothing wrong. If you have a player that's punching through the fourth wall a little bit, hey, get them on your side, pull the curtain back a little bit, use that player to then go through and work to your advantage.
Well, I think this has been a great conversation. It's now 11:08.
Absolutely.
So we need to turn off. I'm going to end with Jen's very smart comment here. DMs love when you value their details. So, and I do think at the end of the day, even when you've had a rough session with a DM, they put a lot of work into it. They put a lot of... Oh my gosh.
It's a great speech. I want to make sure they can see you for it.
Okay, listen. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, the DMs have worked very hard, even if it's a session that you didn't love. And so it's important for them to feel the confidence of like, hey, like you did great. So
show appreciation. Also, train your DM. Show them like, hey, we really enjoyed it when you did this thing. You should probably do more of this thing.
I think that's a really good way to put it too. It's like reaffirm
what you enjoyed
versus what you didn't enjoy. Dad, do not watch this episode. Okay. Anyway.
We love you, Dad.
Yes. Okay. Well, this has been the McNabbs Takeover Goo Morning Zyathé edition. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I enjoyed all your chats. You did offered a lot of really great insights, and we appreciate you all so much. Next week, I have not seen Alphinius Goo in over a month. This is like the first time we have not seen each other. He's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's been like 14, 15 years of working together. So it's weird when I don't see him for this long of a time. So I'm looking forward to seeing him when he gets back.
Oh, that's so cute.
Well, I miss him. Shh, don't tell him I said that. Alphinius, do not watch this episode. But
with that, folks, orders are resuming shipping out next week. We are super excited to go through and get Tomb of Guys Gax completed. We're super excited for Gloomport, which is right on the horizon. If you have any issues with any of your orders, go through and email at support@gooeycube.com. GUIEAD has that eyes on that like a hawk. We will get your order fixed. If Camera Mandy has to deliver your order personally to her doorstep or to your doorstep, she probably won't do it, but the UPS guy will.
That's funny. I know.
With all that, everybody take care. Make sure you're driving safe in the snow, and we can't wait for this winter season with you guys.
Oh, I have a good question from JC. When do we need to get our portraits and character stuff to you for Guys and Gax?
The sooner the better.
Well, yeah, has he set out the...
Yep.
Okay, so... Yeah.
So there's an initial email that was sent out to all the Guys and Gax folks. It should be inside of your inbox. If for some reason it went to spam, again, support@gooeycube.com. Hit up EAD, just say, hey, I purchased an order through Guys and Gax. I either didn't get my form, or when do I need to get this filled out, or I need some help coming up with my character backstory. GUIEAD is 100% on board with just answering silly questions. It's part of his training process. So go ahead and just send him an email and just say, hey, man, what's going on? It's great. But yeah, go ahead and send those out to him, follow up on that, and he will get back to you ASAP. So when we get those portraits, get you into the environs of Guys and Gax, which is going to be super exciting.
Awesome. Okay. Well,
what about Genghis-Con stuff? Because that's like around the corner.
it's not that around the corner. It's 11/11. If you want to stay, I will talk a little bit about Genghis-Con. Also, Gothic Cage Nosu asked for a giveaway, but I don't think we're doing one today.
You actually put one in your thing.
Where?
Oh my gosh, I totally remember this. It was the picture that you put up in the thing. You said, "Good morning, Weirdos Edition."
Did Alphinius promise a giveaway?
No, this was totally, I'm pretty sure it was you.
I promised a giveaway?
Did you send the did you send that photo to? All right, here's the full image. It seems to, yeah, it's right over here. It says the Weirdos, a totally bizarre and likely quite entertaining tale for any level, shenanigans galore, and a giveaway.
So Alphinius promised us to do a giveaway, and we'll do one. So
there we go.
Okay, so what do you think? A coupon, like
yes.
$20 off,
$75 off.
$75 off.
No, we can do. What'd you say again? $20 off.
We'll split the difference. 40. What's 75? 40.
Half of 75 is 35.
Okay. No, we'll do $40. A $40 gift card.
Ooh,
okay. So
nice.
Okay. Hold on. Give me a second.
She's gonna get all set up. As far as Genghis-Con's totally around the corner. It's coming up here in February. Make sure to book your hotels inside the lovely Denver, Colorado. There's gonna be tons of games. I'm gonna host a couple games. I'm looking forward to it. Aside from that, other exciting things are the Great Gooey Game Show is going to be going on, where we're going to have tons of giveaways. I've been slowly stocking away all kinds of stuff for Camera Mandy to give away for that.
Hashtag give.
Hashtag give.
Give. So
hashtag give in the chat right now. Go ahead and get on board for our $40 giveaway?
We'll do 45.
45. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's in such a giving mood today.
$45. I know it just keeps going up, but yes, we're going to do a $45 gift card.
Man.
So yeah. Well, the chat, Patrick mentioned that half of 75 was like 42. And I was like, well, that's true. So we'll do 45.
It's 37.5, Patrick.
Okay, I can't do math live on stream.
Okay, well, 35 plus 35
It doesn't
70.
matter. We're doing 45. We're doing a $45 gift card. Okay, so listen.
Patrick's just gaslighting us math. Jeez.
Straxlip says, I hear 45. Can I get 50? Okay, I will do a $50 gift card.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Okay, that's it though. That is it. $50.
She has bullied Camera Mandy into a $50 gift card.
So
that's so awesome.
Okay, $50 gift card. Okay, let's talk really quickly.
$50 gift card for a minimum dollar purchase of $500.
No, it's just a $50 gift card. You can get a lot of really good stuff. You can buy half of the GenzaCon.
It's true.
Value for $50. Okay.
You know how many strangely gooey holidays you could purchase?
Okay, so here's the deal. Genghis-Con. Sorry, don't distract me let me just get Genghis-Con stuff out. Okay, I believe all of the events have been submitted. So we are doing the Great Gooey Dungeon giveaway Thursday night, as we always do, to open up the Genghis-Con opening ceremonies. This year, we're switching Goo Done It and Casino Night because Corey is playing in Stacy's VIP game from her Kickstarter on Saturday night, and we wanted him to be there for Goo Done It on Friday night. So Goo Done It will be on Friday. On Saturday will be Casino Night.
Are we doing your version of Goo Done It or Corey's version of Goo Done It?
We are actually doing, so we've taken all the feedback. So Corey has now retooled it another time. And it's actually really cool the way that he's done it. So
what am I doing for it?
I will keep you updated on that. So it'll be like the role play of my version with a new mechanic for how the mysteries are solved.
Do I have to get my blue makeup for it?
No. You can just do, unless you want to. But I mean, that takes you like 6 hours to do.
It's a hot minute. I really need a makeup assistant.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what Ed is there for?
No.
So yeah, hashtag give. I'm going to roll Joxer404. You missed the E on give. Oh, there you got it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the winner.
Our biggest giveaway ever.
So no, that's not true. We've given away bigger things, but maybe not on like a one episode
biggest
thing.
Dollar amount giveaway ever.
That is, I mean, except for what you win if you win the Great Gooey Dungeon Game Show online. But okay, anyway, all that to say, thank you all so much for joining us. Please join us at Genghis-Con. It is the con where we get to really spend time with our community. It's very special to us in that way. Lawrence will actually be running both games for Gooey Cube, and he'll also be running a couple instances, I believe, of the Dresden Files.
Okay, so Andy Grover's stoked. I can already tell because he has a Dresden Files quote inside of his email handle or email signature block. But yeah, so I'm going to be running probably 2 Dresden Files games. I'm super excited for it. Actually, if you want to see how Lawrence runs a murder mystery,
Okay, fair enough.
That's how to go through and do it. And then I'm also going to be running 3. What Gooey Cube games am I going to run?
I don't know yet. I think they're. I mean, they might be in the schedule somewhere. I have to talk to the Casey.
I got to talk to Casey because one of the games that I want to try and run is like a mega dungeon sum up of Tomb of Guys and Gax, which is a very specialty thing.
Patrick says, "Hey, I'm so in." Okay, we'll talk about we'll put it out to the community so that way you guys can schedule with him before it goes out to the public. So
I don't sleep on con giveaways, so we'll have Dresden Files games at like 4 a.m.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, here we go. Our drawing for the $50 gift card.
$50 giveaway.
Yay, it's Geeky Broken Hoodie.
Hey!
Geeky and the Trolls. Geeky and the Trolls.
Oh, man.
Okay, so we got to send Geeky a
if you guys
coupon
could bully
code.
Camera Mandy into doing a TikTok of her singing that whole song, that'd be awesome.
I don't know. That won't happen. Okay.
You guys need to promise that if she does it, you all are going to sign up on the TikTok to get her a bunch of views on that video.
Okay.
All right, we make that pact right now.
No, I'm not going to. You already did one thing today.
Do it for the content, Mandy.
Anyway, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And anything else? I think we're good.
I really feel like we should just get into the dichotomy of the game master player relationship.
We're heading out.
I'm totally Camera Mandy's ride. She can't go anywhere without me. We're going to stay here on stream for 8 hours.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining us.
We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.